They got up, they finished their meal. If you're not a Yidi or not a mensch, they got up and they wanted to leave. They didn't ask him, he told them. He says, you ate, it was free. Say thanks to whom you ate from him. Svurim atem shemishaliach altem. You're thinking you ate from me? Mishel mi she'omar v'hoyu ho'olam achaltem. You ate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that created the world. So there's a wonderful question over here. Who can ask the question? The question is, the Rashi, the Gemara says, after they finished eating. What's with the Tilas Yadayim? What's with the Moitze Lechem and Oretz? What's with Shahakal Niyah B'dvoroi? Why didn't he say you're going to eat? Thank? For whom? The teretz is, before they had a good meal in there was nobody home. There was nobody home. Yes. There was nobody home. After they ate a gourmet meal, with Alam Gittin, they were ready to listen. You cannot talk to the child when the child is hungry, when he's broken, shattered into pieces. When his whole personality is he doesn't feel, he feels looked down. He feels good only when he goes out with his friends because they're patting him on the shoulder. That's the moiredike message that we learn from Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu said, you eat and drink without a bracha, without the Tilas Yadayim. I'm going to wait till you're fulfilled physically and you're happy. Then he strike. And he was matzliach. And then there's another thing that connects to Hanukkah. We're before Hanukkah. We're very close to Hanukkah. We know Hanukkah. The Gemara says, Ner Hanukkah ishi beisai. According to the halacha, it's enough to light one candle for the entire house. Hamahadra, ner lechol echad. You light a ner for every member of the family. Hamahadra and hamahadra, the halacha kebezilel, that the first night you light one, and then you light another two, and till the 8th day you light 8 candles. The Beshamai say the opposite. You begin 8 and you go down. And the halacha is kebezilel. What's the pshat? Beshamai is Midas Hadin. He was a big captain and he was very extreme. The Riyah Kodesh, he was a big Midas Hadin. He said that Avodas Hashem, which is Nimshal La'ar, at the Ner Mitzvah V'Torah, you begin with 8 and you go down to 7, meaning you begin to learn a lot, and little by little you feel that it's not enough. It's not enough until you go down and you feel it's not that you're doing less. You feel that it's not enough. And if you feel that it's not enough, then you can add learning. The Beshilel says, the Riyah Kodesh says, the Beshamet, that's going to be Aloha Los Global. In this world, Aloha Kebeshilel said, you cannot raise that way the children. Children you want to raise, the Yoim Arish Madlik Echad. A little lechtele. You learned a half an hour, you came home from Cheder, wow, bring in a lachaim, make a big deal. The second day, be moisev another lecht. The third day, another one. Moisev ahoylech, little by little. Then you will be matzliach. And that's the second nekuda that I think we talk about communication skills and seeing how do you make the child, not only that you give him all of it, it's very good, but how do you give him the feeling that he's accepted not only because of he's your child, because the little that he's doing is very choshev in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's eyes. And if you'll do it, I think it's a twist that adds unbelievable siyata d'shmaya Be'ez Hashem to. That the biggest danger of a child is when he is on a rebellion trip. And that's very, very important. When you rebels, those children who feel that they were mistreated, that the malamdim, and I marked for myself, which is a murder gesagt, that how it all begins. And it's unbelievable. Why? Because all of us have smaller children to deal as well. He said that 12-year child, a child is small in size, and she's scared. I'm talking to Zachar and the Kevat, they're both the same, right? We're talking about both. They feel that a child feels that the world is so big, it's so scary. Who are the pillars of his life or her life? The parents, the father and mother. They think that father and mother are God, that this is my God. And they go out in the world, they go to school, and they see big people, the Rebbe, and the teacher, and the principal, who are grown up very, very big. And they know, these are the people who are going to help me. And all of a sudden, these people who are supposed to help the child are knocking them down, insulting them, and they come home and they don't know what's happening. They're lost. So how does the world go? So father comes, how was your day? So the child says, the Rebbe Yisharin of me. And so he explained to him, he has so many Talmidim. That's the way it works. And he's a little bit nervous, and you have to act nice. The child starts understanding. I always say, you talk to a 2-year-old child like you would be 40, but in his level. Don't disrespect him. You explain to him, the Rebbe was nervous today, you will see how the child reacts, how he understands it. But if instead of explaining him and understanding his pain, how would he say? He came home, and he said the Rebbe gave him patch. He gave him 2 patch. So what is the child? The child feels lost. His world is scattered. The father doesn't understand me. He's lost. That's how everything begins. And when he begins to rebel, the worst thing. Now, didn't you ever mention that? I remember that the worst thing for a child when he's on a rebellion trip, and that's the way they begin. You don't accept me the way I am, I'm going to show you. I'm going to smoke. And when parents accept them, they are stopping the rebellion trip. There's nobody to rebel against. They're letting me do whatever I want. They're accepting me. When a child stops to rebel, then he starts thinking, then he starts understanding you. This is a Shabbos tish. I have to respect others. When he is on a rebel trip, this is a very, very...
There was somebody here from ARTSCROLL who came to me Matzah Shabbos, and he's a big mumcha in chinuch. So we were comparing notes, and he knows his stuff. And he went to Lakewood, and there was 70 parents over there in Lakewood, Nebo. And somebody told him the following story. His kid came Shabbos by Kiddush into the dining room, and lit up a cigarette. And so the father was sitting there making Kiddush, and the kid is smoking in his face. And the father went ahead, and he lost himself, and he took the Kiddush cup, and he threw it in the kid's face. And the kid got angry, he cursed, he ran out. And he came back 5-10 minutes later, on the outside with a baseball bat, and he broke all the windows in the house. So they asked this guy, what should we do? And I said, I take only the worst cases. 9 out of 10 calls I don't take. And I don't think it's not shaykh, it's not shaykh at all that story would happen to any of you. Because once you accept the kid, why would he come up to Shabbos and blow smoke in your face? Could be no smoke on Shabbos. But there's no rebellion. We kill the rebellion, and each of you here, the ones who are here over a year, are shaking your head, because, right, or even younger. The rebellion's gone, and most of the fuel of their rebellion, when it gets recharged, that's when they do much worse stuff than the bad stuff that they would be. So the kids are spiraling. They're both going to spiral. This kid, the parents are yelling and screaming at them. They spiral much deeper, much further than they ever would have if they go this way. And instead of lasting 2 years, it lasts 8 years, 10 years. And we kill the rebellion. So they're talking Machal, Shabbos, Nebuch, and they're talking this and they're talking that. They do nothing lahachas. And if you look at all the stories, most of the terrible stories is when they're doing lahachas. And we really don't have that. Because that's exactly what the Ruv is saying. Kill the rebellion. But the way that, my tool to kill the rebellion, like Reb Chaim Cohen was masber to us, that penicillin kills sickness. Penicillin is mold. We use the sin to kill the sin itself. We're killing the rebellion and everything that comes with it, and all the damage and all the chil, everything, and all the trauma and all the stories by weddings where kids came in drunk and ruined weddings and ruined lives, which believe I heard we do not have at all. We're killing that with an iPad. We're killing that by saying, I understand you, you have needs, I'm not against you, we love you, we accept you, and we're shtitzing you. And once we're supporting it, we have the happiest off the derech kid, but he's not a rebel. And most of the things they do is the rebellion. We save that 100%. Anybody have any comments about that?
I had this with a 12-year-old. The other night I'm sitting with her and my Shabbos. And we're sitting schmoozing, a long schmooze, and she's talking about the video blogs and which ones are good and which are bad, but they listen back and forth. And now shows that she tells me, that it says, talk, kids talk like, they use the F word, whatever, and I use it, whatever. But when I come home, I don't use. I only say that. I just say the F word, I just say it. So I don't know why, but when I come home, I don't say it, And I said, I really appreciate you respecting us. I really appreciate, that you respect us and that you, and she, she accepted it. But it's that exactly the whole thing. She's not rebelling. She's not. That's right. We expect, okay, you want to talk about it? Fine, whatever. She does.
And then just another way of explaining it. There's a passage that says, "Mayim genuvim yimtoku." Stolen water is sweet. Stolen water is sweet. I always say, I always bring this example. It's an example that I experienced. That in ARTSCROLL, the children, the bochurim smoke. Now not anymore, but they used to smoke a lot. So I remember when my children grew up, they went to the yeshiva. They were 14, 15. Each of my children did it. So what do parents do? They go like the guys to the yeshiva. Listen, I don't want you to smoke. If I'm going to catch it, the chances, no, I'm not going to smoke. He doesn't want to smoke. But then he sees all his friends smoking. And he remembers that the father said that if I'm going to catch you, I'm going to, says it's a game. Let me say, my father can't catch me. He's in the Rechaim now, I'm in yeshiva. So you just try one cigarette, that's the way you start smoking. I said, no. I said, children, I can't control you. And if you want to smoke, you'll smoke. I'm just begging you, and I'm giving you the responsibility. I'm trusting you. You're a responsible person. It's not to die. It costs money. Your mouth is going to smell. None of them smoked because you don't give them opportunity to play games, cat and mouse.
You gave them power.
I gave them power. I said, you're a friend, and I can't do anything. If you're going to smoke, I can't do anything.
So I'm a little twisted. So I did what the Ruv did with my kids, who are also in their yeshivas smoking, and they're from the Yichudim who don't smoke. I did a little bit more. When my kid was 12 years old, came Purim, Tati, can I have a cigarette? I said, on one condition, you smoke it with me. No problem, okay, only Purim, smoking with me, good. That Purim came, I said, nope, I took out a cigarette, are you ready to smoke? No, a little bit later, he didn't smoke. 13 years old, my kleiner, I did it with all of them. I said, oh, Purim's coming. Purim, all your friends are going to smoke. Nope, we'll have a cigarette, but only with me. He didn't smoke. 14 years old, came Purim. I said, nope, you want a cigarette, but only with me. I came, I offered him, come, let's smoke. No, let's go, let's smoke. No. Shavuos, I heard that his friends, when they were 15 years old, they made up Shavuos night. I don't know what it has in the stomach, it's Kabbalah somewhere. That at like 2 o'clock in the morning, how much can they learn already? They're all going to go out and smoke, right? And somebody shaft cigarettes, and I found out from a kid's brother, whatever, mother, I found out about it. Upstate in the bungalow colony, 2 o'clock in the morning, they're going to go out. What did I do? On the way to Shavuos night, I took out a pack of cigarettes. I gave it to my son. I said, in case your friends are going to go out tonight and smoke, you be the one that should be the giver. you be the Greise Gvir. What happened? He didn't go out with them. They all went out, and he stayed in. Why? They all went. All the friends went out. All the mothers the next day were hacking. They done smoked, done shvuas. It's crazy. Who says shvuas? Whatever. And my son stayed in Besmedish when they went out for the thing. He didn't need it. The mamash didn't need it. And believe her, all my kids who, even though I smoke a couple of cigarettes a day, and I always offer them. I always, you want to take? No problem. It's the mind group of me talking.
I can't offer the cigarettes. I don't have.
Maybe I would quit if you offer. Okay. So I think the Nakuda is taking a step further. The premise that most people have is that children are rotten and children are bad, all children, and they're going to chap and take and abuse you as much as they possibly can. So I can't tell them it's okay because whatever I tell them it's okay. Even regular kids, parents are scared of their children. They don't believe in the goodness of the child. If I'm going to let him watch a thing or do something, that's it. He's going to keep on going, and you give him a finger, they take a hand. And I don't know where this comes from, but I haven't found that to be true at all. I find that when you give two fingers, they give you one back. They mamish don't need it. But when you look at them like, no, you're controlling and you can't have enough and you can only this and you can only, with a million rules.
Especially when they're good and they feel that the parents don't trust them. Right. Tell me the truth, where were you yesterday? And that angers him. So, no, I called and you didn't pick up the phone. So I'll show you where I can go. You know, this is all goes in the same category that you need to do it, but with a lot of love and respect and trust. Then you can. That's the way you're machal to do it.
Okay, so we have kids who are machal everything, and the Rav is telling us about love and acceptance. But we know that we need for the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. They can't live without love and acceptance. On the other hand, in order to love and accept them, we have to love and accept sin and chil everything. So we're stuck. People are stuck. They say, yeah, okay, you want me to love and accept and trust my 7-year-old who's comes home learning alphabets? No, I'll learn how to do that. But now with my 16-year-old girl, and she goes out natsni, she stays out all night, how can I show her? Now we know that without love and acceptance, she's dead. 16-year-old girl, we understand that. She's dead. She's going to find someone else to accept her. So she can't go. You can't tell her, listen, when you're going to be good, I'll love and accept you. You know, she's going to say, when I'm good, I don't need you. Like the bookher from Monroe that I always quote, he came to Home Sweet Home, and he told his father, he said, Tati, if you're not going to stay with me and support me, when I do sins, don't come looking for me, right? They don't need you when they're good. So now they're going to go through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. You're not supposed to buy them clothing. You're not supposed to support them. You don't look at them with pride. They're even a top kid. If you stop looking at them with pride, they'll crumble. So here you have a kid who's on the brink, and you don't look at them with pride. They need that. That's the refuah. That's the medicine. But how can I look at pride at them? They're not doing anything that gives us pride. That's the trap that we're in.
So I think the derech is to know and to believe that, of course, you need to be mispaled, to know and to believe that if you, in the end, they'll do tshuva. There's a big chance that they'll come back. There's one thing that's amor dikizach. We know lahavdle elfavdolos bagoyim all over the world. A person that grows up in a certain way, the older he becomes, he will always get back to the first stage. There's a nostalgia, or else he didn't have it, but he had a few good years. That's the way it is. We had somebody in ARTSCROLL that was mamash machal Shabbos, father he and his children. When he became older, he started remembering the young, when he was a young bocher, the way he learned, and he came back to that. So there is a tremendous chance that if you're going to support and she's going to be calm, or he, eventually she will go back to the shirish where she comes from. Because that's the way everybody is. That's the way a person goes back to the shirish.
So in the meantime, how does a from ehrlich, God-fearing parent look at a girl who's completely not sneeze and give her the feeling that I accept you and that I'm proud of you and that I love you and that I like you? How is it possible to do? That's really the Nakuda question that we have to do. But let's hear some comments before. Yeah.
The way she acts, the way she appears, the way she conducts herself, it's not because she wants to rebel. I mean, because she's in pain. and she cannot scream with her mouth, but she can scream the way she acts, when she walks. And once you understood it, it's you really have when you thought lately we saw like big steps. We were talking with my wife and I last week, but the way you yeah, that's the way. That's what's conveyed. At one point, I saw her walking down the street, and hello. Then my wife asked me, "Did you see how she was dressed?" No, I didn't. I saw her, neshama, hair, pain, neshama, and that's what I saw. That's what I see now.
That's what she will remember when she grows, and because one of the things, dressing especially girls, one of the things is they feel nothing. They feel that they're no good. When they dress nice and they're being looked, but that gives them a sense of I'm something. But if you fill this void, this hole, this vacuum with love of parents, love of the family, eventually this will diminish the
Last week she came to visit us. She did my Shabbos, very dressed, mamish batam, without talking us like she didn't care anything, just outside.
Like he says, if you love them, she loves back, and she knows that. Okay, you accept them. You accept your child, you accept your daughter, you accept your son. They're accepted, okay. Now what's important is to have a language with them, to have communications with them. That's the important step. That's the important step, and you can do it, you need to learn how to do it. That's my challenge today that I want to bring up. You know what? Okay, you accept a child that is Mechalach Chazal Chalila. There's all kinds. This is Mechalach Shabbos. Accept her. You understand that by accepting them. Okay, they're sitting by the Shabbos table. What are you going to do? What are they going to do by the Shabbos table? You need to get them into the part of the family. What are you going to say by the Shabbos table? I say the next step is to be able to have a shmuz with them, to tell them about my childhood, not concerning Yiddishkeit, to tell them the hardships I had when I was a child, when I moved from one place to the other. You need to make their minds start thinking about something else, nicht nur bei Yiddishkeit.
Truly, but
I know from experience.
It's a great idea because
that when I want to bring in the chevra, I don't talk about Yiddish. I want nicht wegen Yiddishkeit. But I talk about life. I talk about dealing with why this politician when he made all his pointers. You do it in a very, very, very casual, very tricky way. Not a word missing out. And in Advat 20, you can also say when it doesn't have a message of criticism. That's what you accept that, and everybody says what he thinks. Not anything that has a remez of criticism. Something that will interest them. It's on their level.
I try to tell parents, let's say a father takes his kid out to a ball game or to a movie or to whatever it is. He says, okay, I came home, I did it, and it works tremendously, they bonded. But a father with communication skills knows how, in the middle of the movie, to just put his arm around the kid and say, I love being next to you. That is 100 times more medicine. A father knows how to walk in the street with his kid. They're both walking in the street. They're going to Manhattan, they're going shopping, whatever. With communication skills, you know how to say things that make it so much more powerful. You're going into the neshama and you're grabbing this kid, and you're mamish nafshay kshura benafshay. So once we remove the animosity and the rebellion, it's outside and bottom. But then you've kind of been left on your own. Some of you are naturally fantastic at it. Some of you are horrible at it, that even if the kid is completely not rebellious and is right in front of you, you basically have no way to actually bond because you have nothing to talk about.
That's the nukuda. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example if I would have such a child. And I said, we have such a child because we're all together in it. Call this RA. That's why I'm sitting here. Really. we're part of our family. It's not you, it's not me. I say to parents, he says, how can I deal with it? I said, it's not your child, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's child. He just gave it to you. It belongs to Klal Yisrael. They're responsible just like you are. But I want to give you an example, and I mean it but you need skills. For example, we have Parshas Vayetze. We're not talking about a child that's all out of it, and he doesn't know he's shikar, he's drunk, I don't mean literally drunk, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking a bit. I said, I had a question. I would like to share it with you. Maybe you explain it to me, because in your world there's more understanding to it. I cannot understand how did Yaakov Avinu feel when Lavan changed Rachel and gave him Leah for a wife? Can you explain to me, how did he feel in the morning? How you will jump up and is going to explain? That's their alley, right? That's their alley. So what is he going to say? My father gives me Musar.
No, that's good.
That's one of a million tricks that I can get. But you're bonding. And that's why I'm mentioning it. And also, telling you your dilemmas, your questions. It's not you're accepting and then you stand like a golem. I'm sorry to say that. There's nothing happening. You're asking what's happening afterward. Afterwards, you need to be able to trick him, but very, very careful, because Avi's watching.
Just a little background from me.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family. My grandfather was very strict. My father, we didn't have conversations. I knew my father well. We didn't have conversations. I took my son out to eat Wednesday. They asked him, you want to come eat? I said, fine. He called my wife. He has a good relationship with my wife. I'm very worried. So I said, so what are you going to do? What am I going to talk to Tati about? We have nothing to talk about. What are we going to talk about? So, okay, go out to eat and basically ask the questions, what do we do in this situation? And I didn't feel that I was
Connected.
Not that I wasn't connected, I didn't feel that I was pushing conversation, which is this, and I didn't feel that I talked too much because I don't talk too much. He came home and he told my wife, Tati asked me my advice, what should I do with this work, or what should I do with that, what should I do here, how do we do this? He was unbelievable. He felt like the respect.
Good job.
How many times did I say to take advice from them? You have to make it sound real, because when you have the skills, you need to feel that you're grabbing his neshama, that you're together with him, that there's a shmooze.
The effect. Shabbos, I came home from shul, and one of my other children was in a very, very bad mood. He didn't want to come to the table, didn't want to. This son, because the kid was so elated, he took whatever he learned from this little communication, that he went down and he cheered him up and he did that.
Unbelievable.
And he schlepped him up.
This is the point.
What I saw was, I was shocked. He schlepped him up to the table. It's not a child that comes to the table. The kid doesn't. He schlepped up the other one to the table to come and shot him. He made him a good mood. He made him happy. It was unbelievable.
What did you do after that?
I spoke to him. I told him how proud I was. I said, it's such a wonderful thing for your brother to take him out of a bad mood and bring him into a good mood. You did such a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
That's
Excellent. All right.
It's very good. It's very good.
We started doing that. My husband also felt that it's time to be talked to them, and we get along with them very, very well. And I find that either they trap us by the Shabbos table, always with such questions that we really don't know the answer, and we start getting so defensive. For example, my item started saying, "Ich will wissen, was wir mit dem Schnitzel von Shabbos." Kannst du mir sagen, was? Explain it. Or all kind. Or my daughter was like, so what do you mean? I'm not going to diet in the Gemara. Not everything is one. Who said that your diet is right? And then we start getting into
So,
a
so
whole,
if you have communication skills,
that's the
say
communication I'm missing.
that's a fantastic question. I never thought about it. I mean it. That's the way I would say, wow. Ken's not gonna make this. Why? He's using it anyways. We're talking about skills. You need to learn it. It's a skill. It's not. I didn't invent it. If you're becoming defensive, and that's what he wants. But if you would say, shh, without fraying the right level, you'd say that's such a good question. Maybe maybe we can use have to talk. If you would do it, you would first of all, and not make fun of him. Not make fun of him. It's a good question. Then he's testing you. He's testing you. He's throwing the ball and he wants you to catch it. It's a good one. It's a good one. That's all. So what did you do? You disarmed him. It's called disarming. If you accept him and you don't make fun of him, you disarm him. He wanted to check you and you withstood the Messiah. That's communication skills, yes. Again, if you don't fight him, you say it's good questions, I'm not so intelligent, the Chodesh answers, the Rambam was smarter, and it's a good question, I would like to understand it, I'd like to learn. If you don't fight them, little by little, and like I said, with all the other tricks, give them compliment what a good girl she is when she does something good. When she does something good, I'm sure she does something good. There's no such a thing. Something, helping somebody. She is on the trip, on the rebellion trip. Yes. You can't stop. She's going 100 miles a minute.
See, everybody here is in a different stage. When she's on the rebellious trip, where it's like you want to know how to treat Hatzula comes. Okay, if somebody's in cardiac arrest, this is not the time to talk about it. You're doing Ladati fantastic with her because you took her out of where she was suicidal and running out. Lamaster, she's home. Lamaster, you're taking care of her. Lamaster, she's calming down. In another 6 months from now, Be'ezus Hashem, if things just calm down a little bit, the blood pressure starts to get a little bit lower, you're going to be able to use more skills. But his first answer was really right. She's out of control rebellion. No matter what you say, she's going to throw it back in your face. So just smile and accept it. And keep on giving the medicine until she calms down. And then we could already get abyssal mosichlis to what the Rebbe was saying about the communication.
You can also give her, you don't have to repeat it, and throw it back. Justify. For example, that means trick. If you would say, if I would go through what you went through, I would be much worse. I would say that. What is she going to say? I promise you that she might throw it back at you, but she'll go into a room, she'll think, wow. But she's in such a situation that if you say that, that means that I'm a problematic child because I had problems.
But
so she's too early. So it's too early, yeah. So she's not ready. She's just in a mode to fight and to rebel. Right. And it's like a child that has a fit. You hold her hand, you hug her. That's all. You can't do anymore.
Because
and Be'ez Hashem Baruch, she will calm down. Much more than if you go in a different direction.
She was a Kaddish in the Tahar and grew up in a frum family, just like everybody else, and from there, just like everybody else. Somebody came to her and attacked her. Okay, Mamash, the Goyim would understand that this was a criminal act that was done to her at 5 years old, 7 years old, 11 years old, 14, repeated traumas done to her. She's as imshildig as she's not responsible as could possibly be. And she stayed prum and she stayed good until she went off the derech. Did she go off the derech? No. She wanted to die. Once you want to die and you're suicidal and you're cutting your flesh, and then you eat treif, we get very, she's eating treif. This has nothing to do, she has no religious issues. She has no religious issues. If she was happy and she was living in the village, marrying an accountant, and she was successful, and she went off the derech, you could think maybe it's an off the derech issue, which I find that they're also not. We could argue about that. But this kid, a kid who says, I want to die. Oh, you want to die? Okay, we're okay with that. Oh, you want to kill yourself on Shabbos? No, we have a problem. You kill yourself Matzah Shabbos, not the early Zman, because that's the grub, that's not young Israel. You wait till the 3 stars, and then you can kill yourself. You want to watch TV, so you drown out your suicidal thoughts. It's okay, but not on Shabbos. You want to eat, so we look like fine. So this girl, I look that she was mamish like Hitler, attacked her, and put her through. She went through Shiva Madure, Auschwitz, Buchenwald, everything, her whole life. How do you know? Because look at the end of it. She wanted to die. That means that's it. The person is entitled to say, I am willing to die. I can't take this pain anymore. That's how much pain she's in. So 100% of pain, she wants to die. And the result is that she ends up, just like Yosef against his will, ended up in a bar and ended up in Mitzrayim, all alone. She ends up in a therapeutic hospital for people who want to die with all kinds of issues, psychiatric or not psychiatric, HASC, not mentally challenged, normal, wonderful, healthy people who want to die because of what was done to them or because of whatever, OCD, all this other kind of stuff. And actually, the whole world is black. She's separated from her entire world. She's not part of our community. She's out of school. She's out of our life. She's out of our home. She's all alone. Comes a guy who's the nicest guy in the world, who also has his issues, right? Nice and wonderful, and says, I love you. You're my princess. We can't figure out, we can't have tightness, but like there were no Jews. It's not like there were 10 Hasidic guys there and she picked the guy. She's disconnected, just like in the Holocaust. She's mamish in her own personal Holocaust. She's pulled out of her family by things that adults or other people did to her against her will. Nobody could have been stronger than her, and now she's plopped in a psych ward with a bunch of suicidal people. Comes a guy and says, wow, I love you, you're so special. And he's talking, they met him, he's the nicest guy in the world. So there are two paths. If we abandon her, I'm not saying what to do, because that's more for the Rav to decide. And if it steps on Allah, we have to ask Allah Hashem. We're just talking before that. If I abandon her, because your lifestyle, even though it's healthy and it's nice and it's good, and you're not hurting anybody, and you're not stealing, you're the most wonderful person in the world, but you're doing things not according to the Torah, so therefore I'm abandoning you, you're on your own. So the chances of her ever coming back to our Yiddishkeit goes down to pretty much zero. And honestly, she shouldn't. Because if you did that to me, if I was stranded on the corner, and it was raining outside, and I was freezing, and I was almost dying, and you passed by in a car, and you said, I'm sorry, but the Torah doesn't let me pick you up, and just die. All alone, just be alone, without family, whatever. I don't see myself, if let's say you said that's the minhag of bells, not to pick up hitchhikers, and I'm hitchhiking and I'm almost dead. I don't see myself, coming to bells too much after that. So you're telling her, really, as a human being, you're a carbon. You're a carbon, and you're sweet, and you're nice, and you never hurt a fly, and you don't hurt anybody. But now you found love, which as a human being, I'm very happy for you, that you have somebody in the world, because you're still going through psychiatric illness and you can't come home, and you're going through trauma facility that he's going to also, and at least you have, as a human being, the Herigish is, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you that you have a big chance that you're not going to throw yourself off a bridge, because you have somebody who's being there for you, and we can't. And I'm going to support you, and I'm going to do everything for you, so that way one day when you're healthy, and you don't want to die, you're going to be able to come home, right, with the shegitz, and hopefully, as we know, almost all the shluts end up leaving, even though here, it's a little bit different, because he's like a great guy, and we really weren't there for him. I mean, what did Klal Yisrael do for her? Nothing. And he was in the right place at the right time, unfortunately. But usually they end up going bye-bye, but at least we have a chance. Or, they never get married, they have a child, the child is Jewish. Is the child going to come home to Babi and Zaidi? If you have a great relationship with her, yeah. If we tell her, I'm sorry, we cannot shtitz you, support you because Torah latnisht, we lose the whole future. That's a fact. That nobody's going to debate. And let's say we find a way to make it work, and we say, what are you talking about? Of course you're our child. We love you just like all of our other children. Here's $2,000 a month, spend it any way you want. You have to maybe say it this way, say it that way, but we get the job done that she feels supported and loved. Then we have a hope that when they have a fight, and she goes running, she's not going to go running off a bridge, she's going running home. Or we have chas v'shalom, if it gets to marriage, then at least her baby will have a Babi Zaidi. And then they're going to come for Christmas, and they're going to realize there's a Hanukkah left, and he's going to say, Babi, what's this? You say, oh, it's Hanukkah. What's Hanukkah? I only know about Christmas. Many of these kids, there's so many stories of people coming back the next generation, or 2 generations later, there's a hope. So as far as I'm concerned, not halachically speaking, there's 2 paths. One is horrific, and it's basically kares. You're basically snipping away at her ever being, what do you mean, you abandoned me when I was in the psych ward, and you couldn't support me in my struggle to stay alive, to go to trauma therapy, because the place didn't have a hechsher, the food, you crazy people, you worry about what I'm eating when I want to die, and I'm not from enough for you, so you don't support me, so you're happy that I shouldn't get the trauma treatment, so I should die? So I think the question has to be, if we're going to save a life, is it possible to find a way that it could work? Because where's our heart? Am I looking for a p'tur? Or am I looking for a...
The question is, you're supporting her, you're not supporting him. You support him as well.
No.
You're supporting her. She has the b'chira, that's all.
If you pay for $3,000 for her apartment, does it matter who you're
You're supporting her. You are supporting her, and she is in such a situation that she's a bullet. That's where everyone has a different, not Baruch Hashem, not with Goyim and not with this, most. But you're supporting her. If your question is that you need support him as well, and you need to support the marriage, that's not what you're asked to do. You're supporting her, that's all. She's your child.
The question is like this, I'm paying for my daughter...
The question, it's much easier that way if he's only supporting her. Meaning, even though he's the from it.
I think it's the Chazanish. There is somebody that had a son who was off the derech, and the son said, I want you to buy me a car. And the father said, right? The father said, they'll just catch up whoever doesn't remember. The father said, right, that I'm not going to give it to you, and the relationship got worse. The Chazanish said that in this situation, it's kedai to give him the car without any tanai, okay? Because this way, you'll have greater influence him in the future. So you give him a car, even though he's driving your car on Shabbos. Now, I don't hear really the question. She needs an apartment. You say, here's $3,000, enjoy yourself. You're responsible for who she decides to do and what she's going to do on her time at night. And what about our regular kids? Every Avera they do in your house is on your Achrayas. Kids don't do Averas. Bachrim don't do Averas.
He has the question that I'm paying for them to get together. That's the way you put down the question. But that's not the question.
And let's say
you're supporting her. Let's say
I'm paying for her to go away for a hotel room with him. I don't know that they're going to do a big Avera. Small Avera.
You pay for her to go to the hotel room. That's all. It's not your business with whom she's going. It's not your price.
Is a Kala from Hanan.
Yeah.
And he was able to create the world just with us high. It's that easy for him. First of all, okay, I got an answer from Kula Roof on this, and I was able to, it was a beautiful answer. First of all, why do we need to daven so much? I mean, we have to beg him so much. Why is there a kippur to ask him again and again, and why do you have to beg and daven so much? And so again, for him with the Osai, is there a Karach Machanan, and that was his sagt daven and in a beten? Why doesn't he just give you everything, und daven and a beten, ob es a Karach Machanan? Second of all, ob es a Karach Machanan, was haben wir denn sündigen? Und verwoß man lasst den Menschen molesten und sündigen. Bei ihm schuldige Kinder, wo sind die schuldige Kinder schuldig? After she was on Craigslist and they were very dirty things on Craigslist, she says, look at all these dirty things. And was hast du bei ihnen noch wirklich schmutzige Jeden? So someone told me just 1 or 2 people, over 30 people on Craigslist, just giving different addresses and different whatever. Email her, look at Craigslist on this and this, whatever, so you're going to see what Yiddishkeit is all about. So she looked at it, there were 30 dirty things that maybe 1 or 2 people posted. And then she came to me, she said, "They sind in Eden, und wusst kein Eibisch, das sind Schadenen, also sind also, ich verwusst, du schreibst nach Harach und Chanen, also lass dich 300 Menschen in Meilen mit Kind, whatever. Maybe she was molested."
She asked this question, your mission is not to answer her. Because if you're angry at somebody, you believe in it. If she wouldn't believe in Hashem, she wouldn't ask questions. And when she asks these questions, it's expression of her pain from somewhere. So I don't need to answer everything. I'm not so intelligent. You have very good questions. As and the kashas. That's what I would say. It's very complicated, but you have a very, first of all, validate her question. When you validate her question, you see, when she asks a question, she throws a ball to you. What do people do? They throw back the ball. She doesn't feel like you caught it even. You say, even if you have an unbelievable answer, First of all, Sa'az and Akash. I'm impressed how deep you're thinking. And you repeat the question. That's the only way they feel they were heard, and then they're able to hear. I'm davening all day long, not because of him. He doesn't need it. It's for me.
That's what I told her.
Okay, so then you can do it. First of all, her question is a challenge. It's expression of that's why I'm here tonight to say that it's not enough to buy a bomb. And it shouldn't even sound the least is a tzad, and such a great idea that it's unbelievable. I'm just adding salt to the tafshel. That's all. There's a Fragen gegen the Kinder, that Avi says there's somebody gesagt, the Kinder, when she's not around, you understand, sie hat a problem. She's not well. Children, not only that, it makes them more well and more strong and more powerful. Our children grow up with that, not knowing that the world is complicated. As a do nisyonis, as a do problem. They're learning from it.
Sure.
They're learning at this level, but she is challenging you. And when you learn how to communicate with her on a serious level, because I'm going back to the idea from the mother nature. It's not a political talk that we're enjoying because we're getting back to nature. I would even add, that's why they say that after a person dies, after manicha, because he's going back. You go along, that's communication. When you're going to do that without giving your mitzvah, just continuing the cycle, you'll see such a siyata d'shema. You see little by little such a change, and you hope there's not going to cringe when she says that, because they see right away the way. It's just gewaltig. If you would learn Gemara, you would be a good. You know what that does? There's such a word. Okay, but she wants to hear it from him. She wants to hear it from you.
I just want to add one thing. We had many kids here who said they were atheists, and they have a lot of kashas. Harry also had kashas. A lot of people have kashas. We call them kids in pain. Like the Roof said, they're in pain. When you're in pain, you have a lot of kashas. When you're in pain and you were attacked or you went through real enough pain to sever your bond from your family and from your community, then you sit there and you say, what kind of jerk? What kind of, we're not allowed to talk like that. I have heard kids say things to me that we're not allowed to hear. My first home sweet home kid, my Bechor, I learned on him. That's why he gets Pishnayim. I learned on him, Nebuch, and he sat there and he tells me, he says, sometimes I curse God. I call him, I say, you, and he curses God. And I was new to this until I opened up, I was a regular guy. And all of a sudden, my first guy that I took in, I'm thinking, how do I get out of here? He's cursing God. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I told him, I said, you have tremendous emunah. I think since Avraham Avinu, there was no yid that ever had so much emunah. You're in a lot of pain, and you know who caused it. You know that God is the one who pulled the trigger, and you're angry at him. And he looks at me and he says, I never thought of that. I said, your emunah is fine. Your betuchim we have to work on. You're being mekabel b'ahav we have to work on. But emunah, hostin, moed geminah. And these kids are very, 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 very in pain about Hashem, so they say they can't be a God. One kid told me, I can't repeat everything in public, but this is like maybe borderline, maybe. He said, it says you have to be like Hashem. When I was 7 years old, I was brutally attacked. I think today I'm going to be like God. I'm going to go outside, find a nice 7-year-old kid, punch him in the face, beat him up, kick him, and they're on the floor. I'm like God. Is now the time for me to have a atheist, a emunah question with him? The kid's in so much pain. And this was after he tried to kill himself. So these kids are suicidal. She was suicidal, right? She's suicidal. When someone's suicidal and they say, there's no God, we say, oh, right? A lady who's having a child, right? And she has no epidural. Right? She's going to say all kinds of things, right? So we're going to take everything seriously? Oh, she's an atheist, right? So her son was an atheist also. A lot of people atheists. Is he an atheist today? Right, no atheist.
Still, it's not 100%.
Asking her questions and validating it, she will calm down.
Because you're getting less pain.
She's giving out her
Yeah. Now, her pain. She's giving out her pain. Let me ask you a question. Which method did you use to convince him not to be an atheist? You used the Rambam, Nevuchim, Eisha Torah. How did you debate him? Hold on. Is he smart?
Yeah.
Very smart?
Very.
Brilliant?
Could be.
Okay,
It's
top
valedictorian Hebrew.
Valedictorian Hebrew and English in a big yeshiva. Okay, so he's very, very, very smart. And he's an atheist, and it's easy to be an atheist. How God make the Holocaust? I mean, that was so easy, right? So how did you make him take him off of the atheist to make him realize within a year and a half that Tzedua Bashefer, you should go ahead and you should work for Eshet Torah.
Before you, I did argue with them. I did. I thought I knew it all, and I argued with them. But after that, you told me that it's just pain talking. They're just in pain. They don't know what they're talking about. So I think with time and what you do with Avi's classes, I think that'll help.
So all of a sudden one day, he says, oh, there's a God. What happened to all the questions? You had questions for 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden all the questions are answered. You know why? We don't have any questions. There are no atheists. There are no atheists. None of them are atheists. They're all in pain. You look at Footsteps, we're not going to talk too much about it, but they say themselves that 50% of the kids on intake report being sexually molested. You're looking at a big trauma center. You're looking at kids saying, ow, ow, ow. There can't be a God. I have a kid in Home Sweet Home whose father beat him very bad. And he can't believe Karakim. He doesn't say Karakim Avabonim. Rosh Hashanah says Karakim Eim Avabonim. Okay? So first he didn't believe in God. Then he said, okay, God, okay, but he's not maybe an aim. It's a process. They're in a tremendous amount of pain. If somebody lights you on fire, that's how they report feeling. Like, I'm mamish in so much pain. It's not a time to have debates. So the Rebbe is saying, first of all,
that's my first experience when I learned years ago that it was amazing. It was amazing that I one after the other, when they began going over the derech. The first time I thought it's just a one-time thing. That they had a problem with their father. They're always connected. The Karacham of Albonim, the minute they were angry on their father, they were angry on Hashem. I had someone that wrote me an email. He wrote me an email. He doesn't understand. I don't want to repeat, what Muslims have a Menes Tzadikim and etc. He had questions, a garbage of questions. I told him, you know what? I promise I'll deal with all the questions. Tell me who you are. It's somebody from the Kehillah. Tell me who you are and tell me what you're. I spoke to him on Skype over an hour. And it came out, what's with your father? No, it's not relevant. I said, you want me to work with you? I want to know. Let him drop dead. The worst thing in the world. It came out, and I remember it so clearly, it came out that after he got married, he dared stand up against his father, then he started having problems with Hashem. Because having problem with the father is having problem with the father and him. And you know what? I make peace between him and his father. I told him your father is really, but he's a victim from his father. And I said, you need to become the father and he is the son. I can't talk to him, but I can talk to you. If you want to have healthy children, make peace with them. I call up, how are you? The minute that it started getting into place, he never asked the question. He became a frimming imam. And once when I dared, I said, you left that. I want to hit the Shabbos. I said, I have no more questions. You know why? It's not questions, it's answers. She's not asking a question. She's giving a statement. I'm in pain and I'm angry at HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She believes and she's angry. She's not asking a question, she's giving an answer. And the more we come forward dealing with the pain, the questions vanish. So he doesn't talk about the pain because he thinks you won't understand.
It took a year and a half.
He wouldn't tell you what a Rebbe did to him in the Cheder because he doesn't know if he can trust you.
It took a year and a half for our daughter to talk about the pain. It doesn't go.
But it doesn't go. But you need to find a way. We know that we're accepting him and giving him the feeling that you understand, and whatever he's going to tell you is going to be understood and accepted. Then, but you need to know how to do it. It's very tricky.
They say CHIZUK HaBashefim because that makes them a little less guilty.
Right. That's right. Not only that. Not only that.
When he thought he was dying and Atzula was standing there, ich gehe jetzt sterben. So, okay, so willst etwas suchen, falls ich sterben, willst du mir etwas suchen? Okay, fine, sterben, zu suchen, schmeißu.
So you see.
So, fahre sterben, das so
He said schmeißu, Atzula was there.
So we said schmeißu. Wow. Well,
Es sogar auf eine Kappe, so ich
but that's anger. That's
when he thought he
anger.
was dying.
That's anger because he was molested, not in physical, maybe physical too, maybe
no.
physical, but he was
Emotionally, definitely.
And it's emotionally, definitely.
Definitely.
And he needs to open up. In order to open up, you
He's
need to
not
open
ready to
up
talk.
to
He
him.
doesn't trust anybody. He's not ready to talk to anybody. We can't get him to therapy. Can't get him to talk to anybody.
We're getting to the same place again and again. And you have a good excuse. What can I do? But there's a way of doing it. And I'm not faulting you, Chazal Khalila, but that's why I brought up this subject: communication skills.
So
You need to go for a course. You need to talk. Your husband should go for it. How? You should be able to go and hold it on the shoulder and say, "Man, Kimchi." Yeah. But I told the father, "What? I'm going to put my hand on the shoulder of my son." I said, "It's a boy, and it's very hard. We didn't grow up that way." Man, Kim, I love you the way you are, and I know you went through. Let's go, let's go out for dinner. You need to connect to the neshama of that child. Once you connect, he's going to open up like a fountain of water. Everything is going to pour out. You don't know how to connect. I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm talking to him. I'm talking to everybody. Usually, lack of communication or lack of expressing of warmth feelings to the child is because he is a victim, and that's the only. I mentioned that because when I say that, the child all of a sudden, starts understanding what's happening, and you can bring him to the point that he should have rahmanas on the parents. He should understand that your father's a victim from his parents, and I say, do you want to continue the cycle or you want to stop the cycle?
I once had a story where there was a father that never hugged his son, and he told me that he never got a hug from his father, and his father never got a hug from his grandfather, and took a lot of coaching on my part, because that's a real dysfunctional thing, it really is. And he finally broke through. He bought a teddy bear. It was a big teddy bear that was holding a little teddy bear, and in it was a card, and he gave it to his son, who was 15 years old, who was doing really bad stuff. And inside, in the card, he wrote, "I never hugged you. Zaidi, your elder Zaidi never hugged Zaidi. Zaidi never hugged me, and I never hugged you. What do you say we break the cycle?" He gave it to the kid. The kid read it, and he couldn't get himself to do more than that. I told him, you just hand it to the kid, and while the kid's reading it, he just opened his arms. And the kid went into his arms, and he hugged him for the first time. It was unbelievable. And that was the bear hugging the bear. And after that, they learned how to hug. And I have actually one of the videos that I show people is a parent that came here who did not hug his son since the bar mitzvah for 5 years. And on the first bomb giving, he took his son around and he hugged him for the first time in 5 years. And then after that, he learned how to hug his kid and other kids. And that was a very big tikkun for him. And he even texted me one day, he says, "Today we finally hugged for no reason." The kid was leaving, he said, "Give me a hug." For him, it was a big mountain to climb, to break through this wall, which, I always hug my kids, I never stopped, so it's not a big deal.
So
A lot of it is being able to break the cycle and realizing that we have to, because if you don't fix this kid, one day if he gets married, you will be passing down that, and these are your grandchildren's future at stake also.
After all that we spoke, there's so much more that we don't know, and there's so much questions, and there's so much levels, so we need to do what we need to do, and we need. It's obvious, everybody knows it, but it's important to mention that we need to be mispalel, that we're doing anyways, to pray, to daven HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Atachon Alodem Das, and Melamed Lenesh Bina should give us the understanding how to deal with the children, and it's a process of learning. Life is a process of learning. It's like when you learn a sugya, you learn it the first time. Whoever learns, whoever, it doesn't make a difference. You learn a sugya the first time, you see, wow. You learn it the second time, you see different new points, and you learn the third time. You are learning your children. That's our choiv. That's our responsibility. That our responsibility is to learn who is my child, what is making him tick, And that goes for all the children. That goes for all the children. Because every child is a world on his own. Every girl is a world on her own. We need to learn what makes them happy, what makes them unhappy. We need to connect to their pain and to the attention that they need, they fail to get because there's a lot of children in the family. And by doing this, learning and paying attention and thinking out of the box how to connect to the children. Every child needs a personal connection. It's not enough that you give a general connection. That's one of the big mistakes. What we do is we give general connection to each child. If we are going to sit down with every child separately during the week, especially those who are super sensitive, we're going to see such a changes in the family that it's unbelievable. And the Rebbe shall help that we should continue going forward in the become Siyata Dishmaya, and I give a bracha to Avi that does such a wonderful job, that he should have Siyata Dishmaya, and I should stand to the Yaminoi, that he should be able to keep on doing what he's doing, and we should hear serious Taivas.
And then